What's up guys and welcome back to On the Brick, where today I just wanted to show off these custom minifigure displays that I made. These are the first 6 that I made for the first 6 movies, and spoiler alert here, I have made a whole ton more, including things for the sequel trilogy, for the TV shows, and the other movies like Rogue One. If you're interested in seeing those, make sure you hit that like button down below, and oh by the way, the instructions for all 6 of these are available for only $1. That's right, you get all 6 for only $1, and you can do so at the link in the description down below. Starting with episode 1 here is of course going to be Naboo. I've chosen to represent this with Qui-Gon Jinn here, but of course you can put any character that you see fit. I wanted to do something that was representative of Naboo. I wanted to make a scene that you could look at and instantly recognize where it is. So that's why I went with this Naboo style background here, where it's kind of like the palace and then also includes a waterfall going into the plains. While this is definitely one of the simpler ones that I've made, that's kind of the point, and I think it does its job perfectly fine. Oh, and one quick thing to point out is that this piece here is supposed to be the same green as everything else, but I just didn't have it in that color. For episode 2, I have this Palpatine overlooking the clone army, but I've already made an entire video specifically for this one, so if you want to see it, it's in the top right hand corner. Episode 3 is definitely one of the more challenging designs that I had here. I knew that I wanted to do Mustafar, but I also wanted to keep this background that I have going on, which is a difficult thing to do and get across, well, that it's Mustafar. I even toyed with not having a background, but ultimately that's kind of the point of these, so I went with what you see here. I think the inclusion of the lava waterfall and like the lava base down here really does help sell that this is Mustafar, making it pretty clear what this is supposed to be. And you know what, I even included the high ground, so while the other ones you can add whatever minifig you want, this one is a little more geared specifically to Obi-Wan, but hey, you can put Anakin if you want. Overall, this is probably my least favorite out of these original 6, but I'm still pretty happy with how it came out. But for the one that I am the absolute happiest with, this is the episode 4 Binary Sunset vignette, because, well, how could I not do the Binary Sunset? This was actually the very first one that I made. When I was doing that Ursa Major build from a few months ago, I looked at how he did the transitioning sky and realized I could do something like that, but for the Binary Sunset. So I did. This is by far the simplest build out of all of them, but it doesn't need to be any more complicated than this. You have the 2 suns, you have the sunset colors, and then you even have the little mound for Luke to stand on. This is by far my absolute favorite one. Now, episode 5, well, surprisingly, it doesn't actually have that many locations to choose from, so the obvious choice was Hoth. And what I love about this build in particular is that it can fit a whole variety of different characters. You can have Luke, Leia, Han, C-3PO, R2-D2, Snow Troopers, Rebel Troopers, pilots, even the Wampa. There are a whole ton of possibilities for who you could put here. I was even thinking of maybe making an alternative version where you can have Luke hanging from the roof, because that wouldn't be too hard to do. But again, the point of these is to be able to display multiple minifigures, so that's kind of why I went with something like this. I think the mix of the colors really does sell that it's like a frozen wasteland, and there's even some ice on the ground as well here. And then if episode 5 doesn't have that many places to choose from, episode 6 has even fewer, so of course I went with Endor. Now this was easily one of the more challenging ones to do as well, because how do I fit a dense forest into a 6x6 base plate? It is really not an easy task to do, but I think I managed to get it across pretty well. You might say that this is Kashyyyk, but hey, if you want, well, here's a Kashyyyk for you anyway. I think it works pretty well as Endor, and just like the Hoth one, you can fit a whole variety of minifigures here. I went with a little bit more of a unique background on this one, not really keeping it as flat or as flush as the previous ones, but I think it does help sell that forest look a little bit more, also with all of the plant pieces lying around. Like I said, I'm really happy with how these came out, and I enjoyed this so much that I went on and made like 30 more that I will definitely be getting and probably showing off as well. And while I have these specific minifigures on display here, like I said as well, you can show off whoever you want. Even the episode 2 one, you can have Bail or Masamada or whoever you want. And with episode 4, even though people might get mad at me for this, you could even put Rey there as like the end of episode 9. It really just works. If you have any ideas for other scenes that I might be able to make, please let me know in the comments down below, as I would love to keep making more of these. And remember that you can get the parts list and instructions for all 6 for only $1 by heading to that link in the description down below. I'll probably look at wave 1 of the sequel trilogy first. I kind of made those a little bit after these ones, but I'm just really happy with how these came out. I'm really happy that I was able to build them and that they actually work. I was kind of worried that maybe they wouldn't, but I think they really do. So if you think so as well, make sure you hit that like button, consider subscribing for future videos, and check me out on Instagram, Discord, and of course on Patreon, where you can join all these wonderful people, get extra entries into the monthly minifig giveaways, and get shoutouts like Jonathan. I am still getting over this cold, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.